And I am also going to record this because I had a couple of folks that weren't going to be able to attend that wanted to participate. Okay, so I wanted to start off today by first showing you the NWKLS website that has quite a bit of information on it about governance and your roles on the executive committee. So first and foremost is the bylaws section. This will tell you the bylaws that guide the full board and the executive committee and doing what we do. It also gives you information about statutes that the regional library systems were formed under. So real quick, I want to go over to share with you another document that I created to try and help explain how this structure works. So you should be hopefully seeing a document with some color on it. It's boxes. Okay, so here is basically how the governance of the system works. So we have the full board, and the full board consists of one representative from each of the member libraries. So a member library can be an academic, a public library, a school library, or special libraries. One of our big special libraries that we serve is the Norton Correctional Facility here in Norton. And how libraries become members is they petition the state library board to become a member of the system. And then that goes through the processes and they become members. At this point, every public library in Northwest Kansas, except for those that are in Graham and in Rawlins County, not Rawlins County, is it Rawlins County? Atwood. Oh, I just had a brain fart. Anyway, they don't participate, but all the other public libraries in Northwest Kansas have petitioned to become members, as well as all the school libraries. We do have 2 academic libraries in Northwest Kansas Technical College and Colby Community College. And then we have a couple of hospitals that also participate as special libraries. So each one of these libraries that is petitioned to become a member of the system then receive benefits from being members of the system. And they also have one representative from each of those libraries that serves on the full board. This is the main governing body of the system. And so this is that meeting that we have once a year in August, second Wednesday in August, that we do our budget hearing. We approve our budget, our system plan, officers, any changes to the bylaws. That all occurs with this full board because that is their main role, is to approve those different pieces of system business. So that the full board is made up of the 47 representatives from each of the libraries. And then there's also one representative from each county that is appointed by county commissioners. This used to be a governor's appointee. So there was one representative from each of the counties who was appointed by the governor, but recently they changed that to county commissions. And so we've been trying to work with the counties to get this done, but we need to work a little harder to get county commission appointees from each county. So then that makes up the full board, 57 total representatives. Now, instead of having 57 people come together once a month to do the other business of the system, they set it up so that then the executive committee is formed. And the executive committee consists of one full system board member from each of the participating counties. So up here, when you become a member of the full board, that's where you have your board or the librarian sign off on your sheet that says you can represent the library. Down here, to become a member of the executive committee, you have to have somebody from the county who is also a full system board member sign that sheet, so that you can then be certified as a member of the executive committee. And so the way they set it up is that there's one representative from each county. So that means there are 10 members of the executive committee. And then from there, the executive committee approves all of the month-to-month bills, like some of you have already seen, and also approves any business or contracts that go on during the year, and also are the board or the body that then hire a system director, fire the system director, and all that. This body also creates policy. So any of our policies that we need to update, which we try to look at every year, will be approved by the executive committee. And so that's then the executive committee. And I figured I'd trickle it down to then system director, and then from the system director, then it goes down to the system staff. So that's kind of like the hierarchy and the governance of the system. So are there any questions about that? And we can get into terms and other things like that here in a little bit, but I wanted to see if anybody had any questions about just the structure itself. A lot of head shaking, so
Yeah.
I think we're good. Okay, perfect, excellent. So let's go back over and we'll share back over here to the bylaws. And again, we try to put as much as we can online. We're not always 100% good at it, but we try to put as much up there so that if you ever have any questions, you can go there first as a resource, and then come to us if you have any further questions from there. Okay, so as I said earlier, we have 2 counties that don't participate. That happened a long time ago. They decided a long time ago that they were just going to do without the system, and so they broke away. And that was back in the 60s when the system was first formed. And so to this day, what we do with them is we contract with them for services. So if they need technology support, Dave will go out, and then we charge them for the work that Dave does there. And we also charge them for any consulting time or anything else that we do for them. And they also have to pay a fee to come to any of our workshops. And so we basically treat them as if they are piecemealing services from us. And we went through the governing body, but the full board, you serve 2 4-year terms. If you are finishing out somebody else's term before you, then we can get you for a little bit longer. So instead of 8 years, we could get you up to what, 8, 9, 10, 12, maybe 11, you know, at most. You hope that somebody served for a little while. And then you have to go off the board for 1 year before you can come back on and serve again. And you're eligible to serve on the executive committee as long as you're a full board member and as long as nobody else really from the county wants to serve. And I'll be honest with you, there's not a lot of people from the counties that want to serve. So thank you for helping us by being a part of our board. I appreciate it. We also do have a couple of standing committees. We have the planning committee, budget committee, and we also do have a policy committee that we work with every year. And then, of course, voting is 1 person, 1 vote. And we do have, what is it, 40% for the system board, I think, for quorum. So, so that's how it operates. Any questions about the bylaws? And again, you can come in and take a look at this as much as you want. And please keep me in line because sometimes I forget certain things in here. So I try to remember it all, but I'm not always perfect.
Looks good.
Okay. Now over here on the policies tab, this is all of our policies that we have in place. We are working on a few others that will be included, and we're still working on the service policy a little bit. But we did update our personnel policy in 2018. We've looked at the collection development policy and didn't see a need to update it. And so it's still sitting here with the 2016. Our service policy is basically a policy of everything that we do to serve our member libraries. And so there was a little bit of updating that we need to do, and I'll be bringing that probably shortly before the executive committee for approval. And then we also have a remote assistance policy for computers. And this is what the library signed to allow Dave to come in and do the remote updates and things like that on computers, just so that you know what's expected of us when we do that, and we just so you know how it works. Trying to be as transparent as possible with all of this. So those are our policies. So if you get a chance, please take some time and just look through them. They're not very long. We try to keep things as simple as possible. Then we have our strategic planning tab. This will provide you with our plan that we have approved for 19 and 20. It also has our budget worksheet, and I put together a budget commentary in 2019, and I'll probably do the same thing again for 2020. But what I did with this document is I put in there what pays out of all the different lines in our budget, so that when you look and you see audiovisual, you'll know that, okay, so that's where the CDs come out of, that's where these items come out of, the DVDs and the games, just so you guys are aware of what that line actually means and where all those expenditures are going. And then we also then have the approval information, and then the budget forms for you to look at. So whenever we create a budget of the system, we take our own generic form that we have that's an Excel spreadsheet, and we put on there then any increases, decreases, and it has 3 years on it. And I can bring it up here real quick and let you look at it. Here it is right here. And so then we have all 3 years, and then we go through and we put the different information each line that how much we're gonna need, so on and so forth. And then we translate this over to the form that we have to fill out for the state. And they have a much bigger Excel spreadsheet and forms that you have to complete. And so we have to plug all of that in there and then figure out mill levies and all kinds of other complicated information. But we really like working first from this document to figure out where we're going and what we need to do from year to year, what adjustments we need to make, things along that line. And so all of this is included here for you to look at and just kind of learn how our budget operates. So you'll see here, for instance, we have the 18 general fund and actual, and then difference. And then we also have employee benefits. So at the system, we have a general fund, and then we have an employee benefit fund. The employee benefit fund is only used for health insurance, CAPERS, Social Security, things like that for employees. And so we have the two different funds that we then pay out of for that. If you look down here farther, we also have in the general fund lines for those same items here too. This is where our wages are, and so on and so forth. So then you can compare 18 then with 19, how much we have budgeted. And then we also then have 2020, what we're planning on spending and where we're planning on spending it. The neat thing about the system is that we're only tied to the bottom line. So what we actually request and receive in tax funds, the lines we can play with, they're not set in stone. So if throughout the year we decide to make a change in one area and move money from it to another line, we can do that, and we can do that freely. So, and then of course with that, I always have a little bit of commentary about what digital resources we subscribe to, things along that line. And then I also put in here what other income we receive. We get money for our KLA contract. We get money from Humanities Kansas for housing the talk books. We receive money in state aid. We also receive money from the state library for serving as a BPH consultant for our area for blind and physically handicapped talking books. There's a lot of information here. If you one day take a look at this and you have a question, please let me know. And some of you will hopefully be going through this process with us again this year. So, all right, so let's go back over here. And the plan each year, I'll show you that as well. We try to just put together a one-page plan to look at what we're planning on doing in the future. So for 2020, we've got continue area trustee trainings, the NWKLS book club, quarterly member library challenges, workflow visits. So you can see on here all the things that we're planning on doing this year and then into the future. And then the rest of the plan is basically everything that we already do. It's our program of services we're already providing. And so that'll give you a little deeper idea of what it is that we provide to our member libraries, and what it is that we do. And I have to say I'm very proud of the fact that we do a lot. So please take an opportunity to look through that as well. I don't expect you to read it word for word, but there might be something there you didn't know, and you're like, oh man, I need to call George and get in on this one here. So I've had some libraries do that. They're like, oh, I didn't know you did that. So please take a look and see if there's anything maybe you didn't know about. We also then every year, this started in 2016 now, do an annual report, which basically is a statistical report telling member libraries, county commissioners, anybody who wants to know what we did in the past year. And so we'll be starting to compile that for 2019. Our previous 3 years are on here, so you can take a look at that as well. And there is good information in there about what we've done and what we plan on doing, or how we've done with what we planned on doing in the past. If you click on System Board, this will tell you who are members of the full board and their terms, and I have some updating I need to do on that. Likewise, we have the county appointees, and then we also have executive committee members, and we again have to do a little bit of updating there, but we will get that done. And so this is all under the About and Governance section of the NWKLS website. So any questions about any of that? I know it was quick. And like I said, if you go back and you do some reading and you do come up with a question, please just email me and I will answer that for you. Okay. The other thing I wanted to go through today is our reports that we provide at our meetings, because sometimes those can be a bit confusing. And so I just wanted to kind of touch base on those some more today. So of course we have the financial report, which all of you had a chance to see, except for Diane, at our last meeting. So let me share that with you and let's talk about it for just a second. Okay. So you should be seeing our financial report. This is the one from the end of December. So what we always do is provide the balance sheet, and that's usually the first page of the financial report. This is just telling you what's in our checking account, our CD, and then our totals for that. And so you'll see at the end of the year that we had a lot less than we do at the beginning because we've spent our tax funds down. And then if you then go to the next page, it's usually the general fund. I try to keep them in the same order. I don't always do well with that, but I try to keep them in similar order. So now this report, to read it, we've got the income portion at the top. So that's lines 33,000 through 46,400. And then you'll see the total income down below that. So we have a carryover that we carry from year to year, and that's basically just to help us pay the bills for the first little while until we get our first tax deposits. Then you'll see the taxes that we receive. So last year we received $589,215.92 in taxes. We budgeted $591,270. So throughout the year we did not receive $2,500 or $2,054.08, and so then you'll see that that's 99% of our 99.7% of our budget that we did receive. And so that's how that works. Is it tells you the actual, the budget, and then any differences there, and then any percentages. And each one of those are very helpful in different ways when you're looking at the document. So then you'll see that we have our public support, and then we do receive interest on our money in the checking account. So that's the interest on our bank account here. That's what that money is. Each year we budget about $1,000 and we end up getting a lot more than we budgeted. And then, as I was saying earlier with Atwood and Graham, we charge them for the services we provide. And so that's here as well, the non-member services that we we provide. So that's where we bring that income in, is there. And so then that will give us our total income, and then that against our budgeted amount that we had, and then our differences and everything else there for the income. Then if you go down, the expenses are treated the same way. So the expense lines start, and again, I won't get into what each of these lines means, because if you want to know that, you can look at the budget commentary, and again, it'll have all that, or ask Alice. She'll be able to print you out a list if you'd like, or we'll get you the information. I don't want to bore all of you with that. But you'll see here then how much we spend in each area throughout the year, and then the difference. And then we get down to the bottom line here, and you'll see our difference in actual and budget, and so on and so forth. So there you go. That's how you read those. And you'll get a report for employee benefit as well. And one way that we expend the employee benefit is we'll transfer expenditures from the general fund over to the employee benefit, instead of paying money out of the employee benefit fund every month. We'll just transfer those in a lump sum, and we usually do it, I think, twice or 3 times a year. Alice is with me, so that's why I was looking back. And again, this is another one of those funds that we have to account for, but we just only have to account for the bottom line, and not each line item. And then you also get a report for Memorial Fund, our blind and physically handicapped or talking books money that we get from the state library, KLA contract, our Humanities Kansas grant, and then we still carry over money from the 6x6 ready-to-read kits that we created. We have funds there that we then replace anything that's broken or whatever in those kits when they come back from libraries. And those are our major line items. Of course, we do have state aid, but that has to be expended by August. And there may be a couple other things. If we get a grant from Hanson or anything like that, then we'll create another fund for that. So there are those reports. Any question on how to read those? Okay, good. I'm seeing a lot of shaking no. I want to make sure, because I do want you guys to understand how these work, and that way you can ask questions, because that's one thing I want, is a lot of questions, because I might be missing something, and Alice doesn't usually miss much, but I miss a lot, so you might have to keep me on my toes here. And then, of course, you saw also last time our bill list, and here's a bill list for the beginning of January I want to share with you real quick. So let me get that cleared out. Okay, and so with the bill list, any expenditures that we have for the month should be on here, and they should be listed. You'll see that there's liability check here for the Kansas Employment Security Fund. You'll see the paychecks, other liability checks, and then any bill payment checks. Over here, you'll see the amount, and then it'll come down and total at the bottom. And then Alice is really good about putting memos in there so that we know what these items are. But if you ever have a question, if you ever see a name on there or something that seems odd, never hesitate to ask. There's no such thing as a dumb question with this. We want everybody to understand what's going on at the system, so please ask. And so every month you'll get one of these as well for approval. And I don't know, is there anything you want to share about the bill list?
No.
Okay, it is pretty straightforward. We try to be as straightforward as possible. So, so there's the bill list. Any questions? Okay. All right. One thing that we also do is we put together a binder of information. So we'll put some information together for you. One, the contact information for other members on the executive committee, the entire roster. We'll also put who the officers are in there for you, and some other information. We can even put a strategic plan and the budget in there if you'd like that. We can really customize this thing to however you want it, just so that you have the information on hand to do your duty. And then we will also provide any other information you want. We usually have a directory for staff so that you know what each staff member is responsible for here. We can get job descriptions, pretty much anything and everything you'd want, so that you know you can be informed. So that is all that I really planned for today. I didn't want to overwhelm you too much. Are there any questions in general?
Still too ignorant to have any questions.
Oh, now wait a minute.
But that is helpful to see that website and be able to look on there. That will be really helpful.
Yeah.
And anytime we have an item of business that we're talking about, you know, if you don't know what we're talking about, just let us know. I don't mind questions, unless you start attacking me saying I'm the most worthless person you've ever met and why are you even here? Then I might have a little problem, you know. I'll say, is there a question in there anywhere? Hopefully we don't get to that.
I doubt it. You're pretty helpful.
I try. Okay. So that was really the general overview I wanted to give you. We'll get binders together for those of you that are new, and we will then see what other information you want, and we can get that for you.
All right.
I hope
Sounds
this was
good.
helpful.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, hang on, Mary. I think you're muted.
Oh,
There we go.
okay.
We got you now.
Okay. I was going through some of our old files, and we had like old paperwork for you know, like some of these budget sheets and things. And we don't really need to keep that on file, do we?
No,
I mean,
no.
I just said, let's just shred all of that for old years. But for this year, a few times I've actually printed it out to have in front of me. Do I need to even keep that for this year? I mean, I think I will just for now. But then otherwise, I've just, for the last meeting, I just like called each thing up on the screen so I could just like pull it up when you started talking about it.
Right. Yeah.
That worked better for me.
Yeah.
That way I'm not using a lot of paper.
That's right. I think that's great.
Okay.
As long as you're able to do it that way, that's perfect. Absolutely. And no, you don't have to keep anything from previous meetings if you don't want to. And you don't have to shred it either. It can just be recycled.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's all public record. So.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Good.
I have to say too, George and the entire Northwest Kansas Library System team, they have helped us so much, and we're going through a lot of transition right now. And thank you so much. They came over yesterday and moved our shelves around and made our back room so much cleaner looking, moving some things around, storage units. It's amazing. So we really appreciate you guys.
Well, thank you. Thank you. We appreciate it.
We've already gotten compliments on the way things are looking. So
Good,
people are
good.
noticing that we're changing. So
Good. Our next project is Pat's. We got to go over to Pat's now and Martin Public and help her with some things.
Yay, yeah.
Got to do a shift.
Yeah, we're shifting.
Shift it all back.
Yep. We enjoy serving, so please don't ever hesitate.
All right.
Share with everybody in the system that we come and help. So.
Great.
Okay.
Yeah, well, try to keep up. I didn't volunteer for any committees because it's just like it's a little overwhelming on our end, doing our board meetings and then these board meetings, and then now we have a new group of foundation in Trego County that now I have to attend their board meetings. So it's been a little much, but
Sure.
This will help, having this website that you just connected.
Good. And that's what we want to do. We appreciate all of you serving and helping us with these decisions. And you know, anytime you guys ever have ideas too, I mean, if you see something in your library and you're like, I wonder if the system can help with that, it might spurn something that could be beneficial to everybody. And so please, share any ideas you have with us, especially at meetings, because that's a good time that then we can kind of as a group mull it over and talk about it and maybe find something really beneficial for everybody out of it. So
Mhm.
I believe in the energy and synergy of groups. So,
Great. Well, thank you.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments?
No.
Okay. Well, very good. Well, I will stop the recording here and then